Don't cut the yam until I tell you to. Leonard said it from the doorway, flat, casual, like he was reminding Ella, his wife, to lock the door before bed. Ella had the knife in her hand. The cutting board was ready. The yam was sitting there, waiting to be prepped for dinner. Why? She asked. Because I pay for everything in this household now, Leonard said, and I need to know you can follow instructions. Ella put the knife down. She waited. Leonard walked out. He didn't come back for 40 minutes. When he returned, he nodded once. Now you can cut it. Ella picked up the knife. Her hands were shaking, not from fear. From something else. Something she couldn't name yet. She had been a senior marketing manager 18 months ago. She had made $95,000 a year. She had led teams of 12 people. She had presented to boardrooms full of men who respected her opinion. Now she was waiting for permission to cut a yam. Ella counted the time. 40 minutes she had stood in her own kitchen, staring at a vegetable she was not allowed to cut, waiting for her husband to give her permission to prepare his dinner. Ella counted the Maggie cubes. 2, not 3. Leonard had been specific about that. She dropped them into the pot. The water bubbled. She stirred. Her hand moved in slow circles. The kitchen smelled like onions and disappointment. Leonard walked in. He didn't look at her. He opened the fridge. He closed it. He leaned against the counter. Did you use 2 cubes? He asked. Yes, Ella said. Good. He walked out. Ella stared at the pot. She had been a senior marketing manager 18 months ago. She had made $95,000 a year. She had led a team of 12 people. She had presented to boardrooms full of men who respected her opinion. Now she counted seasoning cubes. 2 years earlier, Leonard had sat across from her at their dining table. He had held her hand. He had looked into her eyes. You're exhausted, he had said. Ella had been tired. The commute was 90 minutes each way. The deadlines were brutal. She had sponsored the household for 24 months, while Leonard figured things out with his startup. Quit, Leonard had said. I'll take care of everything. You deserve to rest. Ella had wanted to believe him. She had resigned the following Monday. For the first month, Leonard had been attentive. He had cooked breakfast. He had asked about her day. He had told her she looked beautiful. By the second month, things had shifted. The groceries are too expensive, Leonard had said. Use this list. The list had been specific. Brand names, quantities, no substitutions. Ella had followed it. By the third month, Leonard had started critiquing her cooking. This rice is too soft, he had said. The chicken is too dry, he had said. Are you even trying, he had said. Ella had tried harder. She had watched YouTube videos. She had bought cookbooks. She had measured everything twice. Nothing had been good enough. Then came the yam incident. That had been 3 weeks ago. Now Ella stood in the kitchen stirring soup made with exactly 2 Maggie cubes. She heard the front door open. She heard voices. Leonard's voice. And another voice. A woman's voice. Ella turned off the stove. She walked into the living room. Leonard was standing near the couch. Next to him was a woman Ella had never seen before. She was young, mid-20s. She wore a leather jacket and jeans that probably cost more than Ella's grocery budget. Ella, Leonard said, this is Vanessa. Vanessa smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had already won. Hi, Vanessa said. Ella didn't respond. Vanessa is staying for dinner, Leonard said. Ella looked at Leonard. He didn't look away. He didn't flinch. I made soup, Ella said. Perfect, Leonard said. Set 3 places. Ella walked to the kitchen. She opened the cabinet. She pulled out 3 bowls. Her hands were steady. She set the table. Leonard and Vanessa sat down. Vanessa sat in Ella's chair, the chair Ella had sat in for 8 years. Leonard served the soup. Vanessa tasted it. She looked at Leonard. This is really good, babe, Vanessa said. Babe. Ella stood in the doorway. She watched Vanessa lift the spoon to her mouth. The spoon was from Ella's wedding china, the set her grandmother had given her. Leonard smiled. Ella's getting better at cooking. Vanessa laughed. I'm sure she is. Ella turned around. She walked upstairs. She went to the bedroom. She sat on the edge of the bed. Her phone was on the nightstand. She picked it up. She opened her banking app. The account Leonard didn't know about. The account she had opened the day she quit her job. Because Ella had not been stupid, she had been strategic. The balance showed $6,300. It wasn't much, but it was hers. Every month, she had transferred $200 from the joint account before Leonard could check. Small amounts, invisible amounts. Ella locked her phone. She lay down. She stared at the ceiling. Downstairs, she heard Vanessa laughing. She heard Leonard laughing. Ella didn't cry. She just counted. 2 Maggie cubes, 1 suitcase, 0 reasons to stay. The next morning, Ella woke up at 6. Leonard was still asleep. Vanessa was gone. Ella walked downstairs. She made coffee. She sat at the kitchen table. Leonard came down at 7:30. He poured himself coffee. He didn't look at Ella. "We need to talk," Ella said. Leonard sighed. "About what?" "I want a separation." Leonard stopped. He turned around. He looked at Ella. Then he laughed. "A separation?" Leonard said. "Yes." "Where are you going to go?" Leonard asked. "You don't have a job. You don't have savings. You need me." Ella stood up. "I'll figure it out." "You'll be back in a week," Leonard said. "You'll come crawling back because you can't survive without me." Ella walked upstairs. She pulled a suitcase from the closet. She packed clothes, toiletries, her laptop, her grandmother's necklace. 1 suitcase. That was all she took. Leonard stood in the doorway. He watched her pack. He was smiling. "This is pathetic," Leonard said. Ella zipped the suitcase. She walked past him. She didn't say goodbye. She left. The studio apartment was 400 square feet. It smelled like mildew and old carpet. The landlord had said it was cozy. It wasn't cozy. It was cheap. Ella put her suitcase down. There was no bed. Just a mattress on the floor, no couch, no table, just space. She sat on the mattress. She opened her laptop. She had $6,000. Rent was $800 a month. She had 7 months to figure out her life. Ella opened a blank document. She typed, "Hartley Consulting, Services." She stared at the screen. She had built brands for Fortune 500 companies. She had launched products that made millions. She had done it all while working for someone else. Now she would do it for herself. Week 1 was brutal. Ella ate instant ramen twice a day. She sent cold emails to every small business in a 50-mile radius. She offered logo design for $200. 43 emails, 0 responses. Week 2, she got 1 response. A local bakery needed a logo. Ella delivered it in 3 days. They paid her $200. It was the best $200 she had ever made. Month 2, Ella refined her pitch. She targeted businesses that had budget but no internal marketing team. She offered brand refreshes, social media audits, content strategies. She sent 90 emails. She got 3 responses. 1 maybe, 2 no's. The maybe turned into a $1,500 contract. Ella bought a desk from IKEA. Month 3 was the rejection loop. 47 pitch emails, 3 responses. 1 ghosted her after the proposal. 1 said her rates were too high. 1 said they'd circle back. No one circled back. Ella's bank account dropped to $4,000. She stopped eating out completely. She stopped buying coffee. She walked to save bus fare. But she didn't stop pitching. Month 4, Ella landed the contract that changed everything. A mid-sized tech company needed a 6-month brand refresh. The budget was $15,000. Ella had pitched them 3 times. They had rejected her twice. On the 3rd pitch, Ella had said, "You don't need me, but your competitors are out-messaging you 3-1. If you want to stay invisible, keep doing what you're doing." They had hired her the next day. Ella signed the contract. She didn't celebrate, she just got to work. Month 5, Ella's phone rang. The name on the screen said, Marcus Chen. Marcus had been her boss at her old firm. He had been the one who told her she was leadership material. "Ella," Marcus said, "I heard you're consulting now." "I am. I need someone for a project. Are you available?" Ella's calendar was wide open, but she didn't say that. "I have some bandwidth," Ella said. "Good," Marcus said. "I'll send the brief. Standard rates?" "Double," Ella said. Marcus laughed. The Ella I knew didn't ask for permission. "Welcome back." He agreed to her rate. Ella hung up. She looked around her studio apartment, the IKEA desk, the mattress on the floor, the laptop that had become her entire world. She was making $8,000 a month now. She wasn't rich, but she was free. Leonard's life had gone in the opposite direction. Vanessa had moved in 2 weeks after Ella left. She had brought expensive luggage and a bad attitude. Leonard had thought Vanessa would be like Ella. Quiet, compliant, easy. Vanessa was none of those things. She spent money Leonard didn't have. She demanded dinners at restaurants Leonard couldn't afford. She complained about the house, the furniture, the neighborhood. Leonard had stopped paying the mortgage in month 3. The bank had sent notices. Leonard had ignored them. His startup had failed in month 4. The investors had pulled out. Leonard's income dropped to $4,000 a month from a freelance gig he hated. Vanessa didn't care. She just kept spending. One night, Leonard had opened his laptop. He had Googled Ella's name. Her LinkedIn profile came up. The title said, Founder and CEO, Hartley Consulting Group. Leonard stared at the screen. Hartley. She had taken back her maiden name. She had erased him. Leonard scrolled through her profile. She had 3 client testimonials. She had a professional headshot. She looked confident. She looked powerful. Leonard's hands started shaking. He grabbed his phone. He called Ella. It went to voicemail. Ella, Leonard said. His voice cracked. I saw your LinkedIn. CEO? Really? That's great. I'm proud of you. Look, I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Vanessa meant nothing. She's gone now. Well, she's leaving. The point is, I love you. I've always loved you. Come home, please. We can fix this. He hung up. He waited. 3 hours later, his phone buzzed. A text from Ella. Let's talk. Saturday, 7 p.m. Leonard read the message 5 times. She wanted to talk. That meant she was considering coming back. Leonard stood up. He walked to the bedroom. Vanessa was lying on the bed, scrolling through her phone. Pack your things, Leonard said. Vanessa looked up. What? It's over, Leonard said. My wife is coming home. Vanessa laughed. You're choosing her? I'm choosing my family, Leonard said. Vanessa got up. She grabbed her purse. You're pathetic. She left. Leonard didn't care. Ella was coming back. Leonard woke up on Saturday morning with a plan. He would apologize. He would grovel if he had to. He would promise to change. And Ella would come home. His phone buzzed at noon. A text from Ella. Le Cirque, 7 p.m. I have a reservation. Leonard Googled the restaurant. $500 per person. His chest tightened. Ella wanted him to pay. This was a test. She wanted to see if he could still provide. Leonard checked his bank account. $340. Not enough. He opened his credit card app. Declined. Maxed out. Leonard's hands started sweating. He could ask to split the bill. No, that would make him look weak. He could suggest a different restaurant. No, Ella had already made the reservation. Leonard decided he would deal with it at the restaurant. Maybe Ella would offer to pay. Maybe this was her way of showing off her new success. Either way, Leonard would get through dinner, and Ella would come home. Leonard spent the afternoon rehearsing his apology. I was scared, he would say. I was insecure. I took it out on you. I'm sorry. He practiced in the mirror. He tried different tones, sincere, desperate, confident. By 6:30, Leonard had settled on humbly confident. He put on his best suit. It was old. The cuffs were frayed, but it was all he had. He drove to the restaurant. Le Cirque was in the city, the kind of place with valet parking and a doorman. Leonard pulled up. The valet opened his door. Leonard handed him the keys. He walked inside. The hostess smiled. Good evening. Do you have a reservation? Yes, Leonard said, under Ella Hartley. The hostess checked her screen. Right this way. She led Leonard through the restaurant. The tables were draped in white linen. The lighting was low. The other diners were dressed in clothes Leonard couldn't afford. The hostess stopped at a table near the window. Ella was already seated. Leonard froze. Ella looked different. Her hair was shorter, sharper. She wore a black Armani suit. $3,000, easy. Her nails were manicured. Her posture was perfect. She didn't look like the woman who had counted Maggie cubes. She looked like a CEO. Leonard, Ella said. She didn't stand. Leonard sat down. You look amazing. Thank you. A waiter appeared. Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink? I'll have the 2015 Bordeaux, Ella said. The waiter nodded. Excellent choice. And for you, sir? Leonard glanced at the wine list. The Bordeaux was $300 a bottle. Water is fine, Leonard said. The waiter left. Leonard leaned forward. Let's order first, Ella said. Leonard opened the menu. Everything was in French. He saw the prices. $80 for an appetizer, $150 for the entree. Leonard's throat went dry. Ella ordered without looking at the menu. I'll have the lobster bisque, the filet mignon, and the chocolate soufflé. The waiter turned to Leonard. I'll have the salad, Leonard said. The waiter raised an eyebrow. Just the salad? Yes. The waiter left. Ella sipped her wine. She looked at Leonard. You wanted to talk, Ella said. Yes, Leonard said. I wanted to apologize. I was wrong. About everything. Vanessa was a mistake. The way I treated you was unforgivable. But I love you. I've always loved you. And I want you to come home. Ella set down her glass. Why? She asked. Leonard blinked. Why? Why do you want me to come home? Because I love you, Leonard said. Do you? Ella asked. Or do you love the idea of having someone who won't leave? Leonard opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The food arrived. Ella's lobster bisque was presented in a porcelain bowl. Her filet mignon was perfectly plated. The waiter drizzled sauce over it with surgical precision. Leonard's salad was a handful of greens. Ella ate slowly. Leonard picked at his salad. How's the startup? Ella asked. Leonard looked up. It didn't work out. And Vanessa? She's gone. Ella nodded. So you're alone now? Yes. And broke? Leonard's face flushed. I'm working on it. I'm sure you are, Ella said. She finished her meal. The waiter returned with the check. Ella reached for it. Leonard's hand shot out. I've got it. Ella looked at him. Do you? Leonard pulled out his wallet. He opened it. $340. The check was $1,200. Leonard's face went pale. The restaurant went silent. At least that's how it felt to Leonard. His hands started shaking. The water glass in front of him slipped. It shattered on the floor. The sound was deafening. A waiter rushed over with a towel. Leonard tried to speak. Nothing came out. Ella took the check. She pulled out a black credit card. She handed it to the waiter. Ms. Hartley, the waiter said. Thank you. Ms. Hartley. Leonard stared at her. You paid, Leonard said. I invited you, Ella said. Of course I paid. How did you? I own 3 consulting contracts now, Leonard, Ella said. This meal cost $1,200. That's what I make in a day. Leonard's mouth opened. No words came. Ella leaned back in her chair. You taught me something valuable, Ella said. You showed me that a woman who makes herself small doesn't become loved. She becomes invisible, and invisible women don't get roses. They get instructions on how to cut yams. Leonard's throat tightened. I forgive you, Ella said, but forgiveness isn't reconciliation. You wanted a wife who needed you. I needed a partner who saw me. We were never going to work. But I love you, Leonard said. His voice cracked. Ella stood up. No, she said. You loved having me. There's a difference. She picked up her purse. She pulled out an envelope. She placed it on the table. The divorce papers, Ella said. I've already signed. My lawyer will contact yours. She turned to leave. Leonard grabbed her wrist. Please, he said, don't do this. Ella looked down at his hand. Then she looked at his face. Let go, she said. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Leonard let go. Ella walked out of the restaurant. Leonard sat there. The envelope was in front of him. He didn't open it. He just stared at the empty chair across from him. The waiter returned. Is there anything else I can get you, sir? Leonard shook his head. The waiter left. Leonard sat there for 20 more minutes. Then he stood up. He walked out. The valet brought his car. Leonard drove home. The house was dark, empty. He walked inside. The dining table where Vanessa had sat was still there. The kitchen where Ella had counted Maggie cubes was still there. Everything was still there. Except the people. Leonard sat on the couch. He pulled out his phone. He opened Ella's text. "Let's talk. Saturday 7 p.m. He had thought she wanted him back. He had been wrong. Leonard put his phone down. He sat in the dark, and for the first time in months he realized something. He had never known Ella at all. Vanessa had followed Leonard to the restaurant. She hadn't planned to, but when Leonard had told her to leave, something in his voice had sounded wrong. Too confident, too certain. So Vanessa had packed her things. She had left, but she hadn't gone far. She had parked across the street from Leonard's house. She had watched him leave. She had followed his car. Now she stood outside Le Cirque. Through the window she could see Leonard sitting alone at a table. His head was down, his shoulders were slumped. Vanessa walked inside. The hostess smiled. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation?" "I'm meeting someone," Vanessa said. She walked past the hostess before she could respond. Vanessa saw Leonard. She walked toward him. Then she stopped. A woman was walking toward the exit. Black Armani suit, confident stride, perfect posture. Vanessa recognized her from the photos in Leonard's house. Ella. But this wasn't the Ella from the photos. The woman in the photos had looked soft, tired, forgettable. This woman looked like she owned the building. Vanessa watched Ella walk past. Ella didn't see her. Ella didn't see anyone. She just walked out. Vanessa looked back at Leonard. He was staring at an envelope on the table. His hands were shaking. Vanessa turned around. She walked out of the restaurant. She got in her car. She sat there for a moment. Then she drove away. Vanessa had learned something Leonard still refused to see. Power doesn't beg. Power doesn't explain. It just is. Leonard drove home in silence. The divorce papers sat on the passenger seat. He didn't touch them. When he pulled into the driveway, the house was dark. He walked inside. The lights didn't turn on. Leonard flipped the switch. Nothing. He pulled out his phone. He used the flashlight to navigate to the electrical panel. There was a notice taped to it. Service disconnected due to non-payment. Leonard ripped the notice down. He walked to the kitchen. He opened the fridge. The food inside was starting to warm. He closed it. He sat on the couch in the dark. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Mr. Hartley, this is Jennifer Wu from Apex Legal Services. I represent Ms. Ella Hartley in her divorce proceedings. Please have your attorney contact our office within 48 hours to discuss asset division and timeline. Ms. Hartley is seeking an expedited resolution." Leonard read the message 3 times. Asset division. What assets? The house was in foreclosure. His car was leased and he was 2 payments behind. His credit cards were maxed. His bank account had $340. Leonard opened his email. 17 unread messages. 12 were from debt collectors. 3 were from the bank. 2 were from his landlord. Wait, landlord? Leonard opened the email from the bank. Notice of foreclosure. Final warning. Your property at 428 Maple Drive is scheduled for auction on May 15th unless full payment of $47,000 is received by May 1st. May 1st was in 6 days. Leonard didn't have $47,000. He didn't have $4,000. He opened the email from the landlord. Wait, he didn't have a landlord. He owned this house, didn't he? Leonard scrolled to the top of the email. The sender was Hartley Property Management LLC. Leonard's stomach dropped. He opened the email. Dear Mr. Hartley, this is to inform you that the property located at 428 Maple Drive has been purchased by Hartley Property Management LLC as part of a foreclosure auction. You are hereby given 30 days to vacate the premises. Failure to comply will result in formal eviction proceedings. Leonard read the name again. Hartley Property Management. Hartley, Ella's maiden name. Leonard stood up. He walked to the window. He looked out at the street. A black Mercedes was parked across the street. The same black Mercedes that had been in the restaurant parking lot. The driver's side door opened. Ella stepped out. She wasn't alone. A man in a grey suit followed her. He was tall, mid-50s. He carried a briefcase. Ella and the man walked up to Leonard's front door. The doorbell rang. Leonard didn't move. It rang again. Leonard walked to the door. He opened it. Ella stood on his porch. The man next to her extended his hand. Mr. Hartley, the man said, I'm Richard Sterling, Miss Hartley's attorney. Leonard didn't shake his hand. What do you want? Leonard asked. Richard pulled a folder from his briefcase. I'm here to deliver formal notice of eviction. You can't evict me, Leonard said. I own this house. No, Richard said. You defaulted on the mortgage. The bank foreclosed. Ms. Hartley purchased the property at auction 3 days ago. She is now the legal owner. Leonard looked at Ella. She didn't look away. You bought my house, Leonard said. I bought a foreclosed property, Ella said. It happened to be the house we used to share. Why? Leonard asked. Because you stopped paying the mortgage, Ella said, and I didn't want it to go to a stranger. So you're kicking me out? I'm exercising my rights as the property owner, Ella said. You have 30 days. Leonard's hands clenched into fists. This is insane. Richard stepped forward. Mr. Hartley, I strongly advise you to vacate peacefully. Ms. Hartley is within her legal rights. If you refuse, we will pursue formal eviction, which will damage your credit further and result in additional legal fees you cannot afford. Leonard's face went red. You can't do this. I already have, Ella said. She turned to leave. Wait, Leonard said. Ella stopped. She didn't turn around. Why are you doing this? Leonard asked. I said I was sorry. Ella turned around slowly. You're not sorry, Ella said. You're just broke. Leonard opened his mouth. Nothing came out. You didn't love me when I had money, Ella said. You loved that I made myself small enough to fit into your ego. But I'm not small anymore, and you can't handle that. That's not true, Leonard said. Isn't it? Ella asked. When I was counting Maggie cubes, you felt powerful. When I was asking for permission to cut a yam, you felt in control. But the moment I started making more money than you, the moment I stopped needing you, you panicked. Leonard's jaw tightened. You don't want a wife, Ella said. You want an employee. And I quit. She walked down the steps. Richard followed her. They got into the Mercedes. The car pulled away. Leonard stood in the doorway. The eviction notice was in his hand. He looked down at it. 30 days. He crumpled the paper. He threw it across the room. Then he walked back inside. He sat on the couch in the dark. His phone buzzed again. Another email. This one was from his leasing company. Final notice. Your vehicle will be repossessed on April 12th if payment is not received. April 12th was tomorrow. Leonard put his phone down. He looked around the dark house. No electricity. No future. No Ella. He had spent 8 months trying to shrink a woman who was always meant to expand. And in doing so, he had shrunk himself. The next morning, Leonard woke up on the couch. His neck hurt, his back hurt, everything hurt. He checked his phone. 7 missed calls, all from the leasing company. Leonard stood up. He walked to the window. His car was gone. The driveway was empty. They had repossessed it during the night. Leonard sat back down. He opened his laptop. He Googled cheap apartments near me. The results showed studio apartments starting at $1,200 a month. Leonard had $340. He closed the laptop. He opened his bank account on his phone. He stared at the balance, $340. That was all he had. No car, no house, no wife, no pride. Leonard's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Hartley, a woman's voice said. Yes. This is Monica from Capital Credit Solutions. I'm calling regarding your outstanding balance of $18,000. We've attempted to contact you multiple times. Leonard hung up. The phone rang again. He declined the call. It rang again. He turned off his phone. Leonard sat in the silent house. The house that wasn't his anymore. The house Ella owned. Ella. Leonard pulled out the divorce papers from his jacket pocket. He had carried them with him since the restaurant. He opened the envelope. The papers were simple, clean, professional. Ella had signed her name at the bottom in blue ink. Her signature was confident. No hesitation. Leonard picked up a pen. He stared at the signature line. He put the pen down. He couldn't sign it. Not yet. Not like this. Leonard stood up. He walked to the kitchen. He opened the cabinet where Ella used to keep the Maggie cubes. It was empty. He opened the fridge. Empty. He walked upstairs. The bedroom was untouched. The bed was made. Ella's side was still empty. Leonard sat on the bed. He looked at the nightstand. There was a picture frame. Their wedding photo. Leonard picked it up. Ella had been smiling in the photo. A real smile. Not the polite smile she had given him for the last year. A genuine smile. Leonard didn't remember the last time she had smiled at him like that. He put the photo down. He lay on the bed. He stared at the ceiling. He thought about the restaurant. The way Ella had looked at him. Not with anger, not with sadness, with indifference. That was worse than anything. She didn't hate him. She just didn't care anymore. Leonard closed his eyes. He tried to remember the moment it had all gone wrong. Was it the Maggie cubes? Was it the yam? Was it Vanessa? Or was it before that? Was it the moment he had asked Ella to quit her job? Was it the moment he had realized she made more money than him? Was it the moment he had felt small? Leonard opened his eyes. He knew the answer. It was all of those moments, every single one. He had spent 2 years trying to make Ella smaller so he could feel bigger. And now she was a CEO. And he was unemployed. In a house he didn't own. With a car he didn't have. And a wife who didn't want him. Leonard sat up. He walked downstairs. He picked up the divorce papers. He signed them. 3 weeks later, Ella sat in her new apartment. It wasn't a studio anymore. It was a 2-bedroom in a high-rise downtown, floor-to-ceiling windows. A view of the city, a kitchen with marble countertops. Ella's laptop was open on the dining table. She was on a video call with Marcus. "The campaign is performing above projections," Marcus said. "Engagement is up 40%. Conversions are up 25%. The client is thrilled." Ella smiled. "Good. Let's push the budget into the high-performing channels and scale." "Already done," Marcus said. "You're 3 steps ahead of me as usual." Ella laughed. "That's why you pay me." Marcus grinned. "Worth every penny. Talk next week." "Sounds good." Ella ended the call. She stood up. She walked to the window. The city stretched out below her. Lights, movement, life. Ella had built something Leonard never could. A life that didn't require anyone's permission. She didn't need validation. She didn't need control. She just needed herself. Ella's phone buzzed. A text from her lawyer. "Divorce finalized. Papers filed with the court. Congratulations." Ella read the message. She didn't feel sad. She didn't feel relieved. She just felt free. She put her phone down. She made herself tea. She sat by the window. She sipped her tea and watched the city. And for the first time in 2 years, Ella felt like herself again. Leonard sat in the empty house. The eviction date had passed. He hadn't left. The sheriff had come that morning. They had escorted him out. He had taken 1 suitcase, the same suitcase Ella had taken. Now Leonard sat on a bench outside a bus station. His suitcase was next to him. His phone was dead. He had $340 in his pocket. No, he had $280. He had bought a sandwich. Leonard looked at the bus schedule. He could go to his brother's place, 2 states away. The ticket was $70. That would leave him with $210. Enough to survive for maybe a week. Maybe 2 if he was careful. Leonard bought the ticket. He sat on the bench. He waited for the bus. While he waited, he thought about Ella. He thought about the restaurant. The way she had looked at him. The way she had said, "You loved having me. There's a difference." She had been right. Leonard had never loved Ella. He had loved the idea of Ella. The version of her that made him feel important. The version that needed him. But that version had never been real. Leonard pulled out the wilted flower from his jacket pocket. He had brought it to the restaurant. A single red rose. Ella hadn't taken it. It had been sitting in his jacket for 3 weeks. The petals were brown now, dried, dead. Leonard looked at the flower. Then he threw it in the trash. The bus arrived. Leonard picked up his suitcase. He got on. He found a seat in the back. He sat down. He looked out the window. The city passed by. The buildings, the lights, the life he used to have. Leonard leaned his head against the window. He closed his eyes. He kept replaying the moment. The waiter saying Ms. Hartley. The way Ella didn't flinch when he said he loved her. He had thought love was control. He had learned too late that love was release. The bus pulled away. Leonard opened his eyes. He looked at his reflection in the window. He barely recognized himself. He had shrunk, not physically, but in every other way. And the worst part, he had done it to himself. 6 months later, Ella was featured in a business magazine. The headline read, "From Zero to CEO, How Ella Hartley Built a Six-Figure Consulting Firm in 1 year." The article included a photo of Ella in her office, confident, poised, successful. The journalist had asked her, "What's the secret to your success?" Ella had smiled. "I stopped waiting for permission," she had said. The article went viral. Ella's client list doubled. Her revenue tripled. She hired 2 employees. She moved into a bigger office. She bought a car, a Tesla, black, with custom plates that read, "Hartley." Ella didn't think about Leonard anymore. Not with anger, not with sadness, not with anything. He was just a chapter in a book she had already finished. Leonard never recovered. He stayed with his brother for 3 months. Then his brother asked him to leave. Leonard bounced between cheap motels and friends' couches. He picked up gig work, delivery apps, freelance writing, anything that paid. He made enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. One night, Leonard was scrolling through his phone. He saw Ella's article. He read it. Every word. He looked at her photo. She looked happy, successful, free. Leonard put his phone down. He sat in the dark motel room. He thought about the moment he had told Ella to quit her job. He thought about the moment he had brought Vanessa home. He thought about the moment he had laughed when Ella asked for a separation. He had thought he was in control. He had thought he was winning. But he had been losing the entire time. Leonard lay down on the bed. He stared at the ceiling. He thought about the yam, the Maggie cubes, the restaurant, the eviction notice, the repossessed car, the divorce papers, all of it, every single moment. And he realized something. Ella had never needed him. He had just convinced her that she did. And when she stopped believing him, she had become unstoppable. Leonard closed his eyes. He didn't sleep. He just lay there. In the dark, in a motel room that cost $40 a night. In a life he didn't recognize. And he understood, finally, what Ella had meant. He hadn't loved her. He had loved having her, and now he had nothing. Some say Ella should have given Leonard a second chance. Others say he got exactly what he deserved.